Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Autopsy with Maddee P. I'm your host, Maddee P Girl. How is it cracking, Queen? Welcome back. Last week we had a rather vulnerable episode. I talked about my spirituality. It was painful. It was a painful edit. It was a painful. I don't watch it. I don't go back and rewatch these podcasts, so Lord knows what's up in the air about me. Am I right? Anyways, I feel like people should go watch it, and it's not the title you think. I'm been talking to God. Anyways, doesn't matter. Hey, I did miss you. I don't have much for warm-ups this week. You're welcome for that. Sometimes, sorry, people are texting me. Just so much love, you know? Sometimes what the world has to offer is really sad in terms of news and what's going on lately. And that is what's happening this week. We have a missing boy in Charleston. I'm sure there's so many missing people in local cities. I had a thought the other day. I was driving and I was just like, it hit me that, you guys know I have an ex that's a pedophile. Yeah. He's out of jail too. Yeah. Help. Hey, help. So I already knew this, but the dangers are like here. Like there's somebody with a basement in Charleston somewhere with like people chained up or something going on. And it just hits me once in a while that evil is that close, and it just fucks with me. And I had a few of those moments this week, and girl, I've been carrying my taser because I also saw a TikTok of these girls. If this is crooked again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Of these girls, and they were like, wait, can you rob us in just a minute because our pepper spray is not out of the packaging yet. Oh fuck, my knife's in the other purse. I thought that was so real because I have a taser just often at the bottom of my bag. We know how I feel about my self-protection. We know how I feel. Y'all ain't kidnapping me. You're not taking me. It's not happening. I'm coherent. You're not allowed to have me. I'm sorry. Anyways, I don't know what the point of that was. Oh, we do have a missing boy, and it's really, really sad. And he was last seen on the bridge, so I really hope, I'm not going to say that because I just don't have the heart. Suicide to me is just, it's always been horrible and scary and sad, and I've faced it myself, but that's how I lost Allie. So it's just it's kind of triggering, honestly. Like when I hear suicide, I just like, I don't know. It's really, really sad, and I have a really big heart for it. So I really hope they find that boy and it's not what we think, or at least the family can get some peace gathered from that. His name is Owen. Okay, you should share the thing if you haven't shared the thing. Also, it is the holiday season, sisters. To me, it's not. I am very strict about Halloween. It's the forgotten holiday. It's not the forgotten holiday, but people just jump right into Christmas. Are you not going to be bored if Santa's staring at you for that long? So I'm strict about it, okay? It's November 1st. I'm not decorating for Christmas. We've got pumpkins and stuff out because it's fall. We still have to give thanks. Fucking idiot. We still have to give thanks. So I usually fill out whenever I'm decorating for Christmas. This year, I'm more excited than usual for Christmas because Halloween this year was it was a trigger. And I talked about it on my TikTok, so I don't have too many trigger holidays. It's typically the small ones, actually, because I'm around my family. I have a huge family that loves me deeply for the rest of the holidays. They won't let me drink anyways. So and they make me feel very comfortable. So, luckily for me, I am blessed in that realm. If you live locally too, my family would love to offer you a plate if you need any help during the holidays and you are struggling and you need somewhere to go, somewhere to eat, a family to be with. We open our door and we try to welcome the public in and give some plates out. So if you're local and you would like some love in Charleston, just hit me up, girl. Keep losing my train of thought. Anyways, I feel out when Christmas is coming. So, and I've been really busy, girls. I said I didn't have warm-ups. Here I am, right? I've been really busy. I've been out of town for the past 3 weekends. This is the final weekend that I'm out of town before I'm just back in my groove. And I was really scared leading up to it. I was like, I'm going to be so stressed out because I have not been doing a ton of podcasts because I've been really focusing on the contents and the theme topic. There we go. Been really focusing on the topic. And that takes more inward focus, and it takes going to meetings, working with others, meditation. It takes time, and I don't want to just be posting shit to post shit. I do believe in consistency, and sometimes some weeks are worse than others because I do need to get something up and I only have so much time. So that being said, I did not pre-film before going out of town. I've been doing it weekly, and it has kind of been stressing me out, but it's been really like exhilarating. And I have not stepped out of my workouts. My schedule is still the same, except for I don't have my weekends. And it's filled with things that people typically drink through. And I've not felt whatsoever triggered or whatsoever scared for my sobriety, if you will. Again, luckily I'm blessed with a lot of people in my life that care about my sobriety too. Obviously. Do I just come on here and count my blessings to you guys? And you're like, this fucking bitch with the damn blessings. With the damn love. Now, what I was going to say, I remembered. I don't know why I've been telling you that I've been going out of town. That's just what's going on. And that's kind of why I have no warm-ups for you today. But I'm yapping away. Swimming does this to me. I lap swim, and every time I'm done, I'm like electric. I'm actually electrocuted. I'm just like, zzz. I'm buzzing. I'm vibrating. Locally, going into the holiday season, we have some food banks that need love and support and food. So they're up on my Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put it up on TikTok. If I can, I'll post it here. I might be editing on a plane where I cannot. We'll see. Anyways, local food banks. Help your local food banks. If you're not in the Charleston area, there are many places that you can look up online that need help during the season, and it's super duper important. Also, if you're in recovery and you don't know what to do with your time, you don't live near your family, and or you have meals and you do presents or do whatever, and then when the drinking commences and it's turning into a party, I often excuse myself at that point. Thanksgiving is only hard after Thanksgiving because everyone goes out and drinks. So during that time, look up local places near you, because there's always some service opportunity happening where they're giving stuff to the homeless or to people or kids or whatever. There's typically something going on. So also look that up in your local area if you want your time filled. It's a really important time to give back to the community because people are really hurting. And I know I'm blessed. A lot of people are blessed. You may be blessed. So can I breathe? I haven't even had any caffeine, y'all. I have not had any caffeine. The only thing that I wrote down for warm-ups, and this is kind of funny, it says donkey teeth. So I guess we're just having a science fact for warm-up today. And that is that donkeys lose their teeth like kids, and then they grow back like a human. So they have child teeth, adult teeth, I think. Am I saying that right? So I don't know why I decided to say that. I thought that was nuts. Because what happens to the big ass teeth? Do they swallow them? Wait, if animals lose their teeth, actually, they're smart. They have these innate things, right? Speaking of, I am a grape girl. Grape! If you know what I'm talking about, I love you. Grape! I eat a lot of grapes, okay? Yesterday I dropped a grape. Grapes are poisonous to dogs. I don't know if it's poisonous or the skin or what it is, okay? Miss Thing over there, I can't say her name because she is being peaceful today, and mommy is so proud of her. My mommy, again. I dropped a grape and I couldn't find it, okay? I was like, fuck, where did this grape go? This was actually last night. I'm looking around, can't find the damn grape. Come in this morning and it's sitting in the middle of the floor, which means she was smart enough to not eat the grape. And I was so proud of her for that because, she's a smart girl. She's a very sweet girl above all. And there has been instances where she eats something that dogs don't eat. A bag of chocolate, she'd finish it. So that was the first time that her instincts kind of kicked in. And she's like, oh, I can't have that grape. Wasting time today. What do we have going on in the autopsy world, girl? Today we are talking about food and beverage and sobriety. I know. I'm actually really excited for this episode. I can't believe I haven't kind of talked about this yet. As many of you know, and if you don't know, you haven't watched enough episodes. I am a server, and I have been a server since I could have a job. I know. Dropped out of college. Thanks. Graduated high school though. Okay. And today I'm going to talk about a few things with food and bev. I'm going to talk about my story with food and bev, how it played a really pivotal role in me being an alcoholic and an addict, and then kind of also how I healed from it, the flip side of that, and then how I balance it now. A little bit of everything. And food and bev in Charleston is huge. Huge. To the point that we say food and bev. Other places are like, I'm a server, and they hold their head like this. In Charleston, if you say you're a server, it's like normal. People understand that a career can be made of this because you can make so much fucking money serving here. We call it career serving. There's career servers. That's what they do. Do I want that for myself? No, not at all. Do I want to be a server for much longer? No, I don't. But anyways, there's pride in the food and beverage industry here, and it is massive. So many fucking people are in food and bev. It's insane. It's kind of silly because I remember being 21 and living in Florida and looking around at all the older servers who were like 25, which I thought was old at the time. I'm now 25, and thinking, that'll never be me. I can never be stuck serving like this. And here I am. And I think for me personally too, serving is a place for people with career paralysis, honestly, because you can in Charleston, you do have to be talented to be a server. I mean, there are other places you can go, like little restaurants, but larger restaurants like the one I work at, you have to be like a good salesperson, and like it's part of your job. There is other things outside of just like serving people. You know what I'm saying? Like it surpasses butler a little bit. Like sometimes I joke and I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, my job is being a servant. Hey, I'm a servant for my work. Anyways, and I'm not here to get into all of that, but I started seeing money, good money, at a young, very opportunistic stage of my life, and it was enough money to keep me independent, and that is all I needed during my drinking days. I only needed enough money for people to not bother me, independence, and to pay for all of my habits. We did an activity recently where I went through my Venmo. I'm still banned on Venmo. Long story. Well, that's personal, but maybe we'll get there one day. I'm banned on a lot of things. Surprise. Big shocker there. Is it Venmo that you can see? Or maybe it was Cash App. Cash App. And girl, that cocaina is expensive. And I was spending a ton of money on it. And independent is honestly like a loose term because I was living with my parents at this time. So like, I don't know. I could have lived on my own, but habits, addiction, am I right? So as many of you know, part of my story is I was in Florida. And I moved back from Florida to Charleston, where my parents live. We are from Aiken, but my parents were in Charleston, and I came here. And in Florida, I faced a lot of addiction. I had already faced addiction all throughout my life, pretty much. From the age of like 15 on, probably, I had faced drug addiction. When I came to South Carolina, I was just starting my alcoholism. This was right after I discovered that I could drink a bottle of wine to go to sleep every night. So beginning stages of drinking every night, and that's kind of where I was when I got back. I lived here for a few months with my parents, and then I decided to get a job downtown. Shout out, can't say the name of it, still work there. And it introduced me to a whole new level where I almost felt normal for my habits. I had thoughts here and there when it came to my drinking. I mean, it was for my standards very juvenile stages of drinking. Not juvenile, that's bad. But like, okay, it wasn't that bad yet, is what I'm trying to say. And being around all those food and bev people, it made me feel normal. And I felt normal, and I thought, oh, these are just people. All I needed were people that could keep up with me in my drinking habits. That's all I needed. Those people were pussies. Come on. Not in Florida, but other people. Okay. And it's funny because I felt free. I felt this freedom that I didn't have a problem. I was just me. And it was okay that I drank so heavily and I really enjoyed drinking, which is just crazy. And, where I work in all of Charleston, downtown, there are like food and bev style bars that when the restaurants close, that's where people go. Divey bars, stuff like that. And so it's not only people from my restaurant, it's people from like the whole city. And I'm like, this is fucking so normal. And in food and bev, like I said, in Charleston, people are career servers. So these people are older. They've got kids. They've got degrees, other shit in their life, maybe even another job. So I'm like, I'm fine. I am so fine. And shit was chill for a while where after work, I would drink every night. And it started what I would consider to be innocent, which was like 4 nights a week. Some nights drinking to excess, especially in the beginning, I was just excited to be in the city where it felt like home. My family was here and I get to be drunk all the time. And so the beginning was like blacking out a lot. And then it was kind of like more chill. There were certain nights that I'd black out, some where I'd just have a few drinks and go home. And it would be innocent like 4 nights a week, probably. Which is not innocent, but in my brain, my addict brain, it's innocent. And then like, honestly, kind of before you knew it, I'm being introduced to cocaine. Many of you know my story with cocaine and it's extensive. Yeah. You think you can't get addicted to cocaine? You can. You can get addicted to cocaine, by the way. Thanks. I don't know what that is about when people say that. I kind of get where people are coming from, but hey, I was addicted to cocaine for real. It's dangerous. I'm telling you now, you can be addicted. And I had one night, and I had already done coke, obviously, in my life. I'm a drug addict before this. Mostly pills and then a lot of weed. Sorry. Sometimes I'm like, God. And then a lot of psychedelics, stuff like that. And I had obviously done cocaine in my life. As a seasoned drug user, I've done cocaine. But I remember the night, and I've told y'all the story before, it was a grown man in the bar, and I did coke that night, and it was like I fell in love. It was like my first sip of alcohol. It was like, what the fuck is this? Why have I not been doing this all the time? What's going on? And I think because I was in psychosis in a lot of Florida from drug use, so coke made me really crazy, and it made me very, very extremely depressed and like inward thinking and a whole different level of realization that I knew I could not keep up with. So I think that's why I never had that moment of this is my drug with coke back then. Anyways, so, and it honestly didn't take long before I am drinking to blackout and there until 2 a.m. till the bars close. And here's the issue: when your goal is to black out, when you're doing cocaine, you can't. Hey, you can't really do that. It takes a lot of alcohol. You just get weird and loopy, but you can remember things and you're like there. You still exist there. And my goal was to not exist. My goal was to just be so fucked up. I don't like, that's the goal. And so it wasn't long before, basically, am I repeating myself again? I don't know. Every single night I was absolutely trashed. And this is kind of just like a fun little thought I had while I was writing this out, that I remember one time I decided that I wasn't going to drink that night because I recognized that I'm living with my parents. I'm coming home at 2 a.m. plus every night. If I'm coming home earlier, it's to drink my dad's alcohol. Like I was still drinking if I went home. So it didn't even matter, or using in my bedroom. And I was like, damn, I need to not drink. Like, what am I doing? And so I decided to go home. I was off the next day, so I took home a bottle of wine with me. And I'm like, I'm going to go through the Wendy's drive-thru. You see like shit, mind you, too. If I ate, it was like shit. And was in the Wendy's drive-thru, and by the time I got to the window, it was kind of like a weekend night. So it was like a busy, when that shit barely moving in them damn drive-thrus, bitch. They were like, that girl was so rude too. The line's barely moving. By the time I reached the window to get my food, I was chugging out of the wine bottle. Wasn't going to drink that night. I remembered this not because I'm like, oh, I have an issue, because I realized why am I trying to slow down? That's so stupid. I don't want to. I literally don't want to. And I didn't see an issue with this, but it really sparked something in me where I get to do what I want. This level of free will monster came out of me that just was like, I never slowed down after that. I never took my foot off the gas when it came to drinking again. Because how are you going to tell me what to do? And why can't I just do what I want? That's the point of me literally being an American citizen. That's the entire point, is to drink in excess. The fuck? And I don't sit here and recount a lot of my memories from those days. I was thinking a lot about it when writing this out, and I saw a lot of pain. And I want to emphasize too that I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of good people. Some of those people are still really, really close to me. And, that's something that I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change the fact I'm alcoholic. I wouldn't change the memories that I have from that. Some of my best memories were drunk. Some are now sober. And I wanted to point that out. But, when I reached back, I did see a lot of darkness. And I saw a girl who embarrassed herself a lot and was in a lot of deep pain. So maybe one day, if we do an episode about memories again, I'll share some of my wild ass stories from those bars, because there is a lot. There's just some shit that I did or happened to me that's just like, what the fuck? But what I did really want to emphasize kind of and touch on today with y'all is the cycle of drinking after shifts every night and not being able to let that go. I never ever thought. I remember the beginning stages of sobriety thinking, I will, and actually towards the end of my alcoholism, I will never be able to get out of this. Like, I will never be free from an after work drink. I didn't see it to be possible. How I was thinking, like, how would I stop drinking though? Because work, literally. And I understand the pain of that cycle. It took me, I used to go after work and sit at the local bar with people I knew from work. And luckily the bartender there, as you all know, was a really good friend of mine who's also happens to be in recovery. And he really helped save my life. He genuinely helped save my life. And I love that man to this day. And so I knew I was safe there and I wasn't going to be served. I've been told no before. I went in there asking for liquor before in my recovery, and thank God no one would give it to me. And I really went in there thinking somebody fucking would. And so I would go there and I would sit and have a Diet Coke and hang out with my friends and talk for just like a little bit of time, because otherwise I would get in my car and I would cry or just like feel this like really deep pit of despair, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand that I was an alcoholic. I didn't understand that I had a problem. I didn't get it. And it felt really, really scary. And today I wanted to be proof to you that it can end. And yeah, it took countless nights of sheer determination and just sheer surrender to walk out of that building and walk to my car and drive home sober and go to bed sober, even if it took hours of flipping around, but eventually going to bed sober and waking up the next day sober. And I can't sit here and tell you that that's easy, because that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Seriously, at 24, I was suffering so immensely from that. And I just want you to know that that cycle can end, and it takes work. But it is so worth it, because I missed so much joy, so much experience, so much love. I missed so much thinking that joy was tequila, and that joy was that tequila soda, splash of crayon sometimes, feeling crazy. And I thought that's what life was. And I didn't have peace or joy inside, and I couldn't understand happiness. I was severely depressed. And so I was trying to mimic it somehow to understand life and to like fit into this place, because I was so fucking lost. And it did take a while, but I also want to show the dangers. Eventually, and I don't want to admit to too much. I still have this job, like I said. So like, I'm not going to dive too much into this. But eventually I am drinking before work, and I am drinking throughout my day. And this is when shit got very dangerous. This is when I started to get yellowing in the eyes, when things are about to hit rock bottom, because I cannot control these nights. They're seeping into my life because I'm waking up after being out till 4 a.m. I'm waking up shaking and I need liquor to make it through. And it's sad. It's devastating. But it's so real that can happen to anybody. That because you're having those shifts drinks or whatever, it took a while, but it can reach that level to where you need alcohol basically to function. And that was what happened to me. And it was utterly fucking terrifying, especially like when you just don't, your brain doesn't even function enough to understand your pain or fathom what the fuck is going on around you. And you're just so lost in there. And I keep using that word today because that's the best way I can describe that girl, because I'm not her anymore. And the best way I can describe her is lost. And I have a great amount of empathy for her. Sitting back and rehashing all this, that is what I walk away with, is a huge gratefulness for this journey that I've gone on and continue to get to go on, and then empathy for her. But yeah, eventually I am drinking around the clock. I'm drinking before work, after work, anytime, any place. We're getting towards kind of like the healing end. And this isn't about my story today. So if you want to hear my story and stuff, episode 1 is about that. Way on back in the archives, girl. But I've definitely felt like when I stopped drinking that I was going to lose everything and that I would never be the same person. And I've also shared this memory before, but it always comes up for me. But one of the last times I drank, when I truly decided that it was time and that I needed severe help and that this wasn't a game anymore and that I was sick, and I didn't know I was sick yet. I didn't know I had alcoholism, but I knew that I was in serious danger. And I sat outside Bumpa's. Shout out Bumpa's, you've closed. Best bar fucking ever. That was also my bar when I got sober, which was beautiful. I used to go there and sit there. Anyways, beautiful, awesome place. Rest in peace. And you could see the restaurant I work at down the street. And I was just bawling my eyes out, thinking about how everything was going to change for me and that nothing would ever be the same. And I didn't want to say goodbye so bad. It wasn't like this relationship with alcohol, something I could just walk away from, and I wanted to. I did not want to. I was reluctant. Yes, I did want to some degree because I pushed myself to do it. No one forced me to get sober. I did. And I knew deep down that I was sick. And I'm blessed that it's this day and age, because I feel like it clicked that like you can ask for help. And I just realized one day, like, wait, I have a problem. Like, oh, yeah, I just had no idea the beauties that would come ahead. And your whole entire life doesn't have to change. You do. You will change. Your whole life doesn't. I still work the same job. I have the same friends. Sometimes I go to the same bar as them, but I hold the same relationship. I'm just as witty. I just have the same laughs, but they're real. And the jokes are funnier. And I share those vulnerable things. They share them back. This life of mine didn't change in this drastic way. It did in a beautiful way, but what I wanted to keep and what did matter to me didn't leave. And my relationship with alcohol luckily would change over time, but it was a painful process. It was a painful process too, in terms of the morning and in terms of the fact that I didn't want to let go, and I loved it wholeheartedly. I've loved alcohol more than anything in my entire life ever. And that's selfish to say, but that's the life of my addiction. More than my family, more than my friends, more than myself, more than my dog. That's saying something. And it was heartbreaking to let that go. It was genuinely heartbreaking. And it was the scariest thing I have ever done. And so I don't want people to feel alone in that aspect of how deep that goes, because it's real, and I want to be vulnerable about it so people can feel okay to talk about it in that way, because it's embarrassing and it sucks, but it's the truth. And I will never also blame the industry. And I don't want to sit here acting like I'm blaming the industry, because we are drawn like moths to a flame, us alcoholics, with food and bev, especially in Charleston, more so than I think anywhere. Maybe in the fucking world, honestly, and maybe like a bigger city, sure. But like this city functions off hospitality. It's tourism based, and cities like that have a different food and bev culture. And so I am not blaming food and beverage industry. I hold a lot of love in my heart for food and bev. we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Basically, though, my job wasn't to be sophisticated or like organized. My job was to be fun. My job was my personality. And people seem to like that. And people like that now. But I was fooled thinking people like me drunk better. And it wasn't the truth. I'm, like I said before, I am funnier now. And it was pretty fucking funny though. Ugh, that was gross. Ew. So it wasn't Charleston's fault. It was my fault at the end of the day. And, you know, accountability is a big part of this podcast. It's a big part of my story. It's a big part of my life. And I will always take accountability for that and for my actions and for, you know, the fact that I still swallowed it every time. And I was sick and I have alcoholism and that's hard, but it doesn't fucking matter because it still happened. And I still did shit I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have a fucking job. I shouldn't have fucking friends, but I do. And I was really blessed for that. God, me counting more blessings. I think one day we'll talk more about getting out of that drink after work because I think for me personally, that was one of the hardest things overcoming my addiction. And for a lot of people, they exit food and bev, or if they aren't in food and bev, they don't go around alcohol. And that's something that they do actively is stay away from it. And I'm not coming here to say stay food and bev. I'm just saying for me personally, that wasn't going to work. That wasn't an option for me. Okay. And, there is a way around it. There is a way to live your life in food and beverage and be sober. And there is a way to stop drinking after work and for life to still be fucking amazing for you. And it was just obviously a very hard thing for me to overcome. One of the hardest things overcoming in my sobriety. So we will touch base a little more one day on that post-shift drink, on that 5 p.m. situation, because how the fuck are you supposed to do it? And, I want to answer that question and sit here and do that right now, but I don't think I'll give you the right answer. I think I need to really scour my brain because that is just like a whole thing. Ironically enough, whenever I stopped drinking, my job would actually be what really helped me and what did save me. This is unique in my story. A lot of people don't have this situation. A lot of people quit their job, do different jobs, or if they're in treatment, obviously they don't go back to the same job. I took the advice of keeping things the same. I actually didn't want to continue to serve. I didn't want to continue to be in that place because I was scared that there was no way I was going to break those patterns in the same place. Like my brain can't do that. And it did. And every day I got to be around people that deeply, deeply loved me and deeply supported me. And I think a lot of the people that I am around still to this day and was around during my drinking days saw that pain in my face and they knew it wasn't normal. And people around me knew I had a drinking problem, I think, and could see it. And they loved me deeply and they wanted a better life for me. And so I think that encouragement from them and the pure pride, like people have cried to me about it and gotten teary-eyed and really been proud of me. And it is amazing. For people to see you in that and see you grow and become something new. It encourages people too. It inspires them. And not just in alcoholism and addiction, but in other walks of life that it's a different type of proof that you can do anything. And that's what sobriety gives me. But anyways, it was really helpful to be around that type of love every day. And the relationships that you have in a restaurant sometimes, depending on how long you've been there and stuff, are just like, those are your best friends. You spend every day together and you're real as fuck with each other. And like you go through shit storms and through like good parts and like, somebody's getting the table and you're not, and like you're pissed off. Like, there's just like something that builds there in those relationships. So anyways, it was a delight to be around that. And I do think it was great. Every single day I would look forward. There were days that were hard that I didn't want to go to work, obviously. Still are. The fuck, it's work. Hello, I'm just a girl. Don't want to work ever. Thanks. But there were days that I would look forward to that because it was my connection. And especially before I did 90-90, before I really got into meetings, I definitely look forward to it. And they also say that you can't heal in the place that breaks you. Is that the quote? I don't know. You can't heal in the place that breaks you or something. And for me, that was not the case. And I don't mean to like sound sappy or be weird, but because it's like, I'm not goody two shoes. I'm not trying to kiss anyone's ass by saying this, but like that building, the place that I work has been a home to me for many years. I worked there for 4 years and it saw me at my worst. It saw me at its best. I kept my job when I shouldn't have. I had opportunities I shouldn't have, been given granted a lot of money there. And most importantly, I've been given like this family there. And it's like that cheesy manager thing, but unless you work there, you don't understand the environment. And it is a beautiful place that I do think saved me and was a home to me during my times of need. And they're really good with resources and with mental health and recovery and reaching out and making sure people are supplied to have the best life. And that's something that's very special, and very unique in how personable they are with their servers. This sounds so fucking cheesy, but anyways, that building that I work at now, always have during this time period, saved my life. And those people there saved my life. And maybe it's because I could recognize that it was my own mind that broke me. And it wasn't the building, it wasn't the industry, it wasn't the place, it was my own mind. I don't know, the full circle moments happened to me a lot in my life. And I don't know, I mean, and there are things that really, really helped me aside from that situation. The home situation was also that I'm carrying around open liquor and dealing with really fucking drunk people all the time. There comes an amount of strength with that I am carrying around open liquor daily while I'm trying to recover from alcoholism. And it clicked a few times, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Am I going to be able to continue to do this? Because I can smell the tequila. And there were a few times in early recovery, especially like, carrying an old fashioned, whatever, carrying that nice crisp Sauvignon Blanc. You can smell that shit from there. Girl, that was disgusting. I'm sorry. That was so nasty. But it really taught me how to stay strong. It was also like I was joking and laughing with my friends there, and alcohol was around. And I would forget that it was around, which if you have that type of relationship with alcohol where it's like its presence haunts you, like that's enough. Like the relationship that I had was intimate and it was vulnerable and it was everything. And so if alcohol's in the room, that's the only thing I can hear. That is the loudest person in the room is alcohol. And there were moments where I didn't hear it. And I thought that was fucking beautiful. I thought that was beautiful. And it was really big proof to me I'd never accomplished anything in my life. I had never, ever accomplished anything. And I'm slowly accomplishing what I now know to be the greatest fight of my life. The greatest, single most greatest fight of my life. And there is something in that is just like fucking awesome and repays you so fucking much. That type of strength, and it's awesome. Those instances showed me that I would be able to find peace and happiness without alcohol, with effort, but I knew that it would one day be a reality. And now I sit at bars and I have fun and I don't hear the alcohol speaking to me. And like I said, I never pretend shit isn't hard. Sometimes it's hard, but it's a lot easier now. And I don't have that bug where I just crave it and I just want to drink. And I almost sometimes struggle to remember that feeling, but I always come back to it because I know it's important to keep me sober, to remember that bug in my ear for the first several months, for a huge chunk of my sobriety, that I fucking wanted it and I craved it bad, and got really close a few times. That circling back to these were people that I didn't want to disappoint because they were proud of me. And that's just like a personality thing, I think, because I also talked about before my sponsor finding someone that I didn't want to disappoint. I wanted to make her proud and I just did not want to fucking disappoint her. And I kept her in mind, not my sobriety, not my personal growth, not myself, not my own salvation, but making sure the other person isn't let down was a big pivot in my sobriety and was super important to me. And I do think kept me sober on several occasions. And yeah, like I said, maybe that's a personality thing. I don't know. And maybe I'm urging you to keep people around that you want to make proud outside of yourself, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. We're not enough to keep us sober. We don't care about making ourselves proud that much. Now I do care about that, but that's because I've changed in who I am as a person. And I need other people in my life to keep me sober, point blank, period. And then on the emotional sobriety side, this industry really helped me because it was I'm working with different types of personalities. I'll leave it at that. And that comes with this whole own bay of challenges. Being that much in the public eye, I used to say the general public is just stupid. They're just dumb. And like if you work food and bev, you get that. And I was working on my emotional sobriety, my patience, my peace, my humility, all of that. I've been saying a lot, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to think, okay? So I was working on that, and it was like a workshop, and every day I would go home and I'd write about what I did right and what I did wrong. I understood not to be hard on myself because I'm working with fucking idiots too. Sorry, sometimes, just saying. Or people who are mean to me too. And that's not easy, but we carry sobriety, and if you work the program, in all of our affairs. I took it that seriously. I still take it that seriously to this day. Most of the time I fall short. That's the standard though. Most of the time I don't hit it, but that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where I want to be. And it was really good for showing me that. And I did a lot of thinking and a lot of active exercise, because some people in sobriety, they don't have that opportunity where you're going out and you're putting that to the test. Can you really be that person? Can you really do the right next thing? Can you really be better? Because that's hard to do. It's easy to say in those rooms. It's easy to journal about. It's easy to choose the best. Is it easy? You can't actually go out and do it though. It's fucking hard. And then can it be okay if you fail? And it had to be okay if I failed because I had to go back the next day. And I would take these, what is the word I'm talking about? Inventories, I guess, kind of, at night against better advice who told me, don't do that at night before you sleep. But I'd be able to sleep. And I would say, I did this fucking wrong. And accountability became this whole new exercise for me, this whole new way of life that didn't have to impede my confidence and tear me down and make me turn back to a drink, because that's what lack of confidence does to me. So it was like exercising, basically, my mental muscles and my standards and my morals every single fucking day. And that was beautiful for my emotional sobriety. I think that this job in general really has helped me and continues to help me grow as a person and grow into who I want to be to other people. And there's a lot of resources, like I said, in food and bev. So in Charleston, there's a huge community of people that are food and bev and in recovery. Yes, recovery is huge in Charleston, but that's huge. And there are very, very, very many resources. Once you open your eyes, you recognize how much of it is. And I'll provide that for some people, I guess, like in the comments, I'll leave it, or in the description. But one of the main ones is called Ben's Friends. Most people know about that. And that's an immediate suggestion. But Ben's Friends says, there was a quote from them one time, that working in this industry doesn't have to cost you your sobriety. And I thought that was awesome. And I remember that all the time because it's so real. And, you know, I still love my job. Is this what I want to do the rest of my life? No. Is this where I'm at now? Yes. And I love my job. And I kept it too because it exercises me in these different ways. And I was scared that I would be so alone in this sobriety situation and in food and bev, and it was not the fucking case. Charleston has the most sober chefs in the United States. The number one most sober chefs. Let alone how many people you don't recognize around you in restaurants near you are sober as well. There are late night meetings that you can go to. The community is huge and it is so fucking beautiful. Obviously, I am very proud of being a sober server who's around alcohol all the time. There's something to be said about that. And it's kind of like, it's carrying around some swag. You know, it's like, that's fucking cool that I can do that. And not everyone can. Nothing wrong with people who can't. It's a really full circle moment for me because now I get to help people right now for sure. But other people outside of this and outside of the rooms and stuff who are food and bev and who need help and who are struggling and or getting into recovery. And that is a gift that I've been granted that is just fucking spectacular, to be a part of that community and to really be able to help other people, because I obviously remember how dark that was and how fucking absolutely terrifying it is to be throwing up on those fucking cobblestone streets, those fuck ass streets every night and shaking. And absolute gut-wrenching despair that is in that. And there is help. And I get to help other people now. And that full circle moment really keeps me in it, because I want to be a beacon of hope for other people that are in the industry and either want to stay in it or don't have a way out. Not everybody can just go finish college and get a different fucking job. Some people get sober. You can't change your life like that. That wasn't an option for me at that point, because sobriety had to be everything for me. There wasn't maybe I can do some of this and that. No. Life stays the same, and my only goal is to stay sober, to listen to others, and to be taught this new life. And it was everything. So anyways, I love being a beacon of hope for that. It is possible, and I hope that you take that away today. It isn't ideal, like I've said, it isn't ideal that I'm still food and bev. I do have a passion for it. I do really enjoy it, and it's a blessing, though, that I get to have a full day before I go to work, where I work out, I'm going to meetings, I'm helping people in recovery, and then I go to work and I can save. I don't have any debt. I get to be financially sound with my money and not have this beast of financial instability breathing down my fucking neck. And that was a huge role of drinking before. And like, y'all know, if you don't know, I had a horrible credit, no money, horrible debt, crippling debt. And I was able to get rid of all that through serving. And I'm extremely grateful for that, and I'm extremely grateful for my life now. Is it ideal? No. Do I struggle with my passion? Yes. Do I know that this isn't an end game for me? Yes, I know that. But it's really important that I'm open my eyes, and I'm so grateful for what I have now, and it has granted me an opportunity to live. Serving genuinely has, that building genuinely has. And it sounds so fucking cheesy, but it's the truth. I've been granted that through my job, because I wouldn't have the time and the opportunities and the resources and stuff that I get to have. Yeah, but it's where a lot of my defects also come out, and I still use that. That was a tool at the beginning of my sobriety, serving was, and it's still a tool now, because, there are days where I come home and I'm like, ugh. I was thinking horrible thoughts. I'm a good server, okay? I can't even lie to y'all. So like, I'm nice and shit. But I have this internal monologue, or I go outside and I say something. Mean, real mean. And there are so many days like that where I go home and I'm like, not the best version of Maddee. We're going to retry that tomorrow. And I get to see this very feisty version of myself that a lot of people in recovery might not get to see all the time, because they're not challenged in certain ways, i.e. dealing with other people. And, it isn't always easy seeing the girl in the beautiful dress with her pretty glass sitting there. It's not. And sometimes I wish I could fucking be her again. Because I spent a long time chasing that too. That a girl in a dress with a drink is what I thought would heal me and bring me happiness. And that shit is etched in me, because that was the goal every day. I don't know how to explain that any further. And it's not easy, but I remember that I'm granted this beautiful fucking life, and having those thoughts, those hard times, requires me to maintain balance, and it teaches me and helps me with a lot with coming to center and fucking breathe, and remember you're here now and things are okay and you're fine. And I have had to have a lot of those moments where I step outside, I'm just like, you don't want to drink, everything's fine, go on about your business. And it works. And I've been able to self-soothe myself in these ways that, I might not have otherwise. And I'm not handing my life and my sobriety to food and bev right now. I'm not trying to sound cheesy like that. That's not the case. But today's episode is about food and bev. And, if you want my honest opinion, there it is. I think it's really hard to stay sober in food and bev, obviously for many reasons. But part of that is you're better, and you see other things getting better in your life when you get sober, and you want everything to change so bad. You don't want shit to remain the same. And I was a victim of that too. I didn't want to be a server half the time. I still don't. Well, can I say that? I don't know what I want to say about that. You guys get it. You get where I'm coming from. And you just want to fucking change it. And serving is looked down on so hard, and you just want to fucking change it. And then so we drink based on our our lack of passion or our lack of what we feel to be purpose. And because we can't just fucking change everything. And so I think that makes it really hard to stay sober. But those are not the realities of life. And that's not how getting sober works. That's not how life works. It is so baby stepped. And we earn things, period. We earn our sobriety. And no matter what, we are never allowed to drink over it, though. Drink over that feeling and that we could be somebody else, but we're not. We don't get to drink over that, though. We push, and we push harder. And when I have those feelings, I have a more intense week. I work out harder. I work on this harder. I get my shit together. I work with more sponsees. I make sure my life is more aligned. And I try to listen for what my goals truly are and what I want this life to look like. I'm not granted this beautiful life where I get this new job and I get all the shit I want, because it's just not realistic. And part of being sober is being as realistic as we possibly can, because we lived in a world of delusion, and that's not how we do shit anymore. I must be grateful for now. And I say that a lot on here, but it is the truth of sanity, straight up sanity. I am grateful for now. And I have to work through the moment, through all this shit, to get to the point where I'm grateful for now. That's easier said than done again, but that's something that we have to feel. Not something we say we have gratitude for shit, we're happy about shit. We have to feel that, and we have to mean that. And it takes work to feel true gratitude for shit that you don't want to feel gratitude towards, that allows you to live a different life and allows you to be alive, pays your bills, does certain shit for you. And that goes for all lines of business, not just food and bev. While also earning and maintaining a beautiful life. One where I did not turn around and miss it. I didn't turn around and wish that I could have that back. I don't wish I could have that back now at all. So glad that's my past, and that's not who I am today. And that is something that you can achieve too. And clearly I have a very, very big soft spot and heart for people in recovery who are food and bev. And I am here for you. I truly am. And I mean that to anyone. People have come in my inbox and talked to me before, and you can too. Anytime that you need anything, you need help, you need advice, I didn't answer a question that you had about this, and you do have the strength, you do have the power, and above all, you have the resources. And I think that's something we forget, where other people help us in this journey. We don't have to have the strength. We just have to have a tiny bit of willpower. That's all we have to have to go forward. And food and bev is a huge part of my story. I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I think, had I not moved to Charleston, I also wouldn't have the recovery center. And maybe that was kind of divine timing's way of leading me back to a place that I'd be surrounded by recovery, and I might fall harder to rock bottom sooner in this place, but I'd be surrounded by recovery. Versus if I'm in Florida, I'm not surrounded by the same environment that Charleston offers, and it's fucking a huge network of people that can help me. But I wonder, if I wasn't in food and bev, would I have drank that hard? Or would I have just continued using and it taken way longer and I wasted way more time in my life and been off way worse and suffered more so drug addiction? Versus I did suffer drug addiction too with cocaine and other substances too. But the drinking came in really heavy, and that was based in Charleston food and bev. I already had alcoholism, so, accountability, but still. And that's a huge thing. I think some people do talk about, some people don't. And you don't have to be an alcoholic too to suffer the alcohol that is in food and bev and to suffer from that. It might just be that you drink a lot and food and bev is fucking you up, but you don't have a problem. In which case I encourage you to find help too, or to lean into the side of quitting, even if it's just for a while. And we have to surpass this restriction situation. It has to be providing a beautiful life, because restriction leads to binging, period. And our brains need to be stronger than that, because my life, it wasn't about restriction. It was about a new life. It was about transformation. I fear if it would have been strictly about restriction, that it would have been a lot more painful, and I would have just turned around and just binged times 20. And I know that I wouldn't be able to go back, and obviously for many reasons I have a problem. But in my dreams, I don't know why I bring this up right now, but in my dreams, if I relapse, which it has been a while, as many of you know, I had a dream where I was going to drink at work, and in the dream I poured it out and was conscious that I was in recovery. And ever since then, in my dreams, if it comes up in my dreams, I'm not like actively relapsing. I'm just like on the edge of it versus like getting fucked up. And then I'm like, know in my dream that I am not supposed to be doing that. And I see it personally as a version of my subconscious accepting that this new life. And anyways, what was I about to say? Oh, but in my dreams though, if, especially in the past, but if I would drink in my dreams, I would continue to need more in the dream. And I just know that to be that would be the waking truth, that it would not stop at the 1, at the 2, at the 3. It's not stopping there. And I know that to be true within myself. And I don't know why my dreams were always good for that. So I don't know. I don't mean to sound hippie doo-dah with anything, but I think we'll talk about this many more times. I don't think I even scraped the surface on food and bev. And, you know, I do have gratitude. It did also almost kill me, you know, and it's just a full circle thing that happens in my life. And for me personally, that is not something I think that happens with everyone. I think a lot of people need to get the fuck out and stop working where they're working if they're going into recovery and choosing that life. But I just think I have an interesting take on it. And like I said, I have a huge passion for all of this shit and for recovery in general, honestly, and the way it saved my life. So I'm sure we will talk about this again, and I hope I didn't sound too fucking cheesy and too on the side of worshiping food and bev, because that was not the goal, but it did really help me, and I wanted to show gratitude towards that. Again, not everyone's story. Can I stop repeating myself? Do you get what I'm trying to fucking say? Damn, like, it's okay, but we'll talk about this again, and I love you. And I hope you have a great week. And resources are available if you need me. I am here too. So, bye.